October 30th, 1948. Negative and positive emotions. Work idea. In order to get in touch with higher centers, it is necessary to destroy all negative emotions. Negative emotions shut the door, as it were, to these higher centers. Commentary. If we knew what we lost by continually enjoying negative emotions, we should be horrified. And indeed, we indulge so frequently in negative emotions, obvious or less obvious, cruder or subtler, open or concealed, that when the work teaches us that we must destroy them, it is almost comparable to saying that we must kill our emotional center as it is. But as this is impossible, we are told that we must purify the emotions. Understand that purification of the emotions in the work sense entails the observation of and separation from negative emotions. It is part of the necessary daily work on oneself, that is, the first line of work. It is not something you do for a day or so, and then imagine you know all about that, but something you have to do all your life, at least until right crystallization can occur. As we are, if there were a sudden, powerful influx of the intense high-voltage forces from higher centers, the result would be a crystallization of our state of being just as it is now. This would be a hopeless situation. Imagine yourself, as you are, fixed like a photographic film or plate when put in a hypo-fixing buff. Nothing could be changed. The interplay between higher centers and their transforming forces and our present state is therefore very wonderfully and mercifully adjusted. A man is not allowed to perceive inwardly and understand more than he can bear usefully. He is, as it were, gradually led to see, after a time, a little more about his state, his level of being, and why he should not behave or talk as he does in his mechanical state. If he could be transformed into a new being by the high voltages of higher centers, then the whole plot and plan of creating man as a self-developing organism would be rendered null nihil nothing. Here comes in the source of much negative thinking, namely, why, if there is a God or a conscious circle of humanity, are we not helped straight away? Come, let us be patient with our tiny minds that get everything wrong. The reason why we cannot be changed into marvelous beings is that we have to earn it. Here is a person full of negative emotions. He complains about everything and turns every event into a source of being negative. He argues, if there is a God, why does he not make everything lovely and satisfactory to me? What is the answer? This person has got to work on himself. Why? Because he was created a self-developing organism and the events of life were given to him to develop himself. If God or anyone else transformed him into a conscious man, a dazzling being, the whole meaning of life on this planet would have to be altered. In fact, the whole of the ray of creation and all its increasing laws would have to be annihilated. Now understand, we are born as self-developing organisms as an experiment from the laboratory of the sun. The work says that if this recent experiment is a failure, man will be swept away, made very small, like ants or bees, and another experiment in a self-developing organism made on Earth. In this connection, this deep source of negative emotion, there is the usual remark, if there is a God, why does he let things happen like war, etc.? What is the work answer? The work answer is that man's level of being attracts his life. Wars, cruelty, horrors occur because man is at the level of being that attracts such things. Now listen carefully. It is man and his level of being that is the cause of all such things, and as long as man does not try to awaken and develop himself, such things will continue inevitably. I mean, man will attract them. We are made of self-developing organisms, that is, we can work on ourselves, and we can change our being individually. If we all changed, wars would cease. Study your being. You will find that it is governed by negative emotions in the long run. As long as that is the case, you cannot receive help from a higher level, that is, from higher centers. If we are created as self-developing organisms and make no attempt to use this freedom, why blame God for not interfering? How could you be a self-developing organism if all the time you were interfered with? You see, therefore, that in the purification of the emotional center, which is necessary for contact with higher centers which represent in us the conscious circle of humanity and seek continually to help us, if we could only listen, we must get a right form of thinking, a right mental idea, and so a right attitude as to why things are as they are on this earth. Gurdjieff, when once asked if wars could be stopped, said, yes. But man must change himself so that certain vibrations do not make him violent. Wars are not caused by man. The sources are extraterrestrial, such as two planets crossing each other and causing a tension, a certain vibration. Mechanical mankind translates this vibration into violent emotions, and so war results. If man became more conscious, he might, instead, receive energy in the form of increased consciousness from these vibrations. Now, to return briefly to the title of this note, namely, Negative and Positive Emotions. All positive emotions come from higher centers, and that is why we have to work on negative emotions. Their quality is such that they have no opposite in them. That is, they are third force, or, as the Gospels say, Holy Spirit. They are yes and no, not yes or no. No one can create, call forth, make, a positive emotion. So Mr. Ouspensky said, positive emotions come as rewards. That is, if you have privately, solitarily, and in the loneliness not of your negative self but your own spirit, made a decision to work on yourself as regards some source of negative emotion. If you, all alone, in this solitary place in yourself, full of the integrity of your most real I, have made a decision, not to identify or feed a particular negative emotion, if, in short, you have shut the door and entered into yourself, as it is said in Matthew, enter into thine inner chamber, and having shut thy door, pray to my Father, which is in secret. Then, your Father, which seeth in secret, will reward you. Verse 6. What is the reward? You will taste positive emotion for a brief moment, something blessed that is, filled with such bliss that nothing of human love-hate emotions can be compared with it. What we regard as positive emotions, feeling fine, feeling fit, and on top of the world, self-admiration, etc., can turn in a moment into negative emotion. Such emotions, such pleasant emotions, are not positive emotions. These never change into their opposites, but visit us and then withdraw. But unless we really value this work on negative states, struggle not to believe them, clear the Aegean stables of the dung of negative states, erect the God in ourselves, the individual spirit, to fight as Hercules, who cleaned the stables with the river of truth, then indeed we are cut off from all inner help and all the deep background that higher centers can begin to give, once we build up and make the intermediary receptive instrument. False personality will prevent this. All humanity could be helped if they made this receptive intermediary apparatus in their minds and hearts. Yes, but this would, amongst other things, make false personality and all its spurious values so passive, so weak, that its influence would be negligible. Let me remind you that when my wife and I went to Grachieve's Institute in France, we were told, personality here has scarcely any right to exist. Well, reflect on all this for yourselves.